Welcome back to Cheddar Business. A new book publishes conversations with more than a dozen high-profile billionaires, revealing how they overcame challenges to reach their mega money status. Joining us now is James Altucher. He's author of Think Like a Billionaire. James, it's great to have you back on Cheddar. Take us through who you spoke to and how you got them to talk to you for this book.
Well, first off, thanks for having me back. And I spoke to people ranging from Richard Branson, Sarah Blakely, who's the founder of Spanx, Mark Cuban, Peter Thiel, so many different billionaires, because I was curious from my point of view. Many times we achieve success, but we also go broke. Success is sort of very volatile. And so I was curious, how did these people go from success to success and ultimately achieve this billion-dollar status? You know, regardless of what you think politically of billionaires, these people all had a vision and achieved it.
So what are some of the important lessons in this book for how to get from, I guess, an average life to a great life?
Well, there's one thing that was in common among many of them, which is an idea I call ready, fire, aim. So you look at someone like Sarah Blakely. She had this idea for Spanx. She got a 100,000 piece order from Neiman Marcus before she even knew how to manufacture a single Spanx. Like, normally people figure out every part of it before they start selling. But she was like, nope, I'll get the multi-million-dollar order first, and then I'll figure it out. Damon John, something similar. He was just sewing these hats. He got this huge order from Macy's. He mortgaged his mom's house in order to complete that order, completed the order, and then a week later paid back the mortgage. So again, there's always this concept like, let's go for it, get it, and then we'll figure it out. Richard Branson, 27 years old, wanted to start an airline. He borrowed a plane from Boeing before he knew what he was doing. How do you even borrow a plane from Boeing? But he figured it out, and then suddenly he started an airline.
So it sounds like it's having the mentality of an entrepreneur, right? And having a dream, sort of, as you mentioned there. But I think we also have to remember a lot of people probably have tried to take some of these steps and it hasn't worked out, right?
It's true, but I think also that ready, fire, aim idea is very risky and scary, so not a lot of people do that. And then the other thing that was common is that they always ask, why? Why can't I start an airline even though there's been a government-controlled monopoly there forever? Why can't I, even though I've been selling fax machines door to door like Sarah Blakely was, why can't I suddenly create a multi-billion-dollar fashion line? Same with Damon John was a waiter in Red Lobster. Why can't I create a $6 billion empire selling, you know, hip-hop related clothing? So they kind of ask that why question repeatedly, like as if money was not an obstacle. Many people view money as the obstacle. That's never the obstacle. You can always figure it out.
But you read in the book that money wasn't the ultimate goal for these people, which I think makes sense, right? It was this idea, and this idea that ultimately became successful that led them to their riches.
Exactly. Like, I think Sarah Blakely did not want to sell fax machines door to door. They want some degree of freedom doing what they love. The fact that it then results in $1 billion in sales is almost like an afterthought of the market demand and their imagination, things that are out of their control a little bit. I think the main goal is they wanted to have freedom, they wanted to have ideas that they loved, and they wanted to execute on these ideas and make people happy. And then the fact that some people became billionaires, some people became millionaires, and so on is sort of beside the point.
In interviewing all these different people, did it make you...
I was very jealous, yes.
...rethink, right? I guess your own business practices?
Yeah, because it made me realize the value of being constantly curious. Like sometimes, I remember one time I was sitting in front of Ken Langone from Home Depot, and he was asking me about a business I was involved in, and suddenly it was like the world disappeared. He was like aimed right at me and asking a ton of questions about this business I was involved in. I didn't know the answers, and I realized there's definitely a difference between his business. He knew the exact questions to answer in a business he had never been involved in. I mean, the exact questions to ask, and I didn't know the answers. So I realized I needed to be a lot more thorough in my own business practices.
Well, how else have you changed your life in getting to know these people and sitting down with them and having these conversations? What are you doing differently day to day since writing this book?
Well, every single day I make sure I exercise what I call the idea muscle. So I'll take a pad, I'll write down 10 ideas a day, because the idea muscle will atrophy like any other muscle. And I see with these people, they're constantly creative, they're constantly coming up with new ideas. Ideas don't happen just when you get inspiration. There's no such thing as lightning striking and suddenly you're creative. You have to exercise that idea muscle every day. Write down 10 bad ideas a day, it doesn't matter. But you have to exercise the muscle. Creativity is something you cultivate. It's not something that comes with inspiration. So I think a lot of people have that. That's combined with that why. They ask why, and then they have creativity to solve it, and they're constantly coming up with ideas. And they also do what I call idea sex. They'll take an idea from this area, an idea from this area, combine them. Peter Thiel takes currency and the internet, creates PayPal. You know,
well, James, you've also spent a good portion of the last few years thinking about cryptocurrency, and we can't have you on the show without talking about Bitcoin. A couple of years ago, back in 2017, you made the bold prediction that one Bitcoin would be equivalent to $1 million
Sure.
by the year 2020. Here we are in 2020. It's under $9,000.
So I made that prediction in September 2017. It was 3,500. It's around 9,000 now. So nobody's really complaining. They should, if they had listened then, they should be doing well.
Maybe if they bought in December.
Well, the math is there because look, there's $200 trillion worth of currency in the world. There's only $200 billion worth of Bitcoin. At some point, some form of digital currencies will become the default world currency. It's just a natural evolution. And so if you do the math does add up to significantly more than that. But look, I'm actually being conservative. So who knows when it hits, but at some point, just like the world went from metals to paper currency to fiat currency, the next evolution is some form of data-based or digital currency.
Is it going to be Bitcoin?
I think it will. Bitcoin right now has got $200 billion in it. It sort of shows that it's not a fad, that serious investors are taking advantage of it. You have companies ranging from Fidelity to JP Morgan to Ameritrade allowing consumers to invest in it. So this seems like the winner, and it has kind of seemed like the winner for the past 3 years.
Is coverage of Bitcoin a goal for you in 2020?
Not really, no. I mean, I think the story has not changed since I first started talking about it, and I don't expect it to ever change. I mean, it seems like everything is happening just as I said in September 2017. The price has gone up, regulators have gotten involved, the scam altcoins have started to disappear, have largely disappeared. So, you know, the story is playing out that we originally talked about.
James Altucher, author of Think Like a Billionaire. It's always great to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for
joining
having
us
me.
today.
I really appreciate it.